Yeah, here I am. I guess my audio's coming through. Uh, Thanks. I got a rough day yesterday. Um, my wife had us go on a big wait in line for free food trip yesterday. Um, and you know what? Just to set an example for her, I got her textbook and I set up in there, and while we're sitting in the car and she's playing on the phone, making flashcards for her of all the, you know, anatomy and physiology, vocabularies and stuff like that. I hope eventually she'll wake up and start doing her studying. But it's important. If if you've been in school and you've had really bad teachers and stuff, and you just really, really had a lot of bad experience and humiliation and degradation and denigration, just tearing your soul down to nothing. You gotta get first into a better academic environment, get around some supportive people, get away from as much as you can, get away or tune out bad people and bad teachers, but get to where you have a love of knowledge. I told my wife, and she was like, "What am I gonna say if I'm trying to get into this program? To she want to be a physical therapist because the godparent, our daughter's godparent, is a physical therapist." She's like, "Man, it's it's real easy work, and it's $45 an hour and stuff." My wife is like, "I don't know what I'm gonna say when they ask me why I want to be a physical therapist." And I was like, "Well, ask yourself why. Isn't it because you want money?" She's like, "That's exactly it. I want more money." And that's when I took the opportunity. I said, "Well, if you really love money, you should think about a different major, study financing, study money and how to get it." You can do that, because my wife is just not a. I was like, "What about the starving peoples in the world? We're not doing enough." She's like, "Man, we're gonna be dead, man. All these people. What you talking about? The environment? We're just gonna be here this little bit of time. No, it don't make no difference or nothing. We're gonna be dead." If you don't care about the world, you don't care about people. Is physical therapy really the best choice of? Whereas money, you're like, "Man, I just want more money." but I don't know. See, a problem with some people, and you'll find this with siblings sometimes. If you're very young, that your sibling, when they get mad, they want you to get mad because they're uncomfortable and they want to make you uncomfortable too. And they notice ways that they can make you upset or uncomfortable. And for me, it's when I'm driving, you know, operating heavy machinery. And you sitting in the back seat chewing me out. Now, she was in a tired and a bad mood yesterday. I think she caught a cold or something like that from the office. I feel like I may have got something too now that she started talking about it. I took some vitamin C or whatever, but my wife did a little bit of math in the morning. And she was just looking at her prerequisites for the program. Now, I taught math at instructor level in the mathematics assistance complex at Georgia State University and the remedial math complex for 7 years. So at college level. So I know what you pretty much got to do to get through calculus. And her degree program requires chemistry 1 and 2, physics 1 and 2, and anatomy and physiology 1 and 2, and I think a biology, the prerequisite to get into it. But you hear, people will say, "Do you want to do this the easy way or the hard way?" And I heard a guy talking about learning Chinese, and he said, people ask, what is the easy way? And the guy said, the easy way is the hard way, right? This way right here, and I was trying to tell my wife, I wish she could understand that if you try to, I'm going to do the minimum to get through physics 1 and 2, classical mechanics and electricity and magnetism. I'm going to skip algebra. I'm going to skip trigonometry. I'm going to go straight into calculus, right? Because the calculus, and then I'm going to try to take just calculus 1. That's the only requirement. Really, you're going to be suffering. You are going to pass physics 1 and 2. You're going to have to know that stuff anyway. You're going to have to know what you're doing is you're going, I ain't got time for that. But all of a sudden you're going to be in a class where you're going to have to learn 3 other classes worth of concepts. Whereas if you had just took your algebra 1, you don't have to take geometry. You get the geometry that you need in algebra and trigonometry, right? You don't have to study Euclid and stuff like that, It's interesting if you're going to really get into mathematics to study geometry. But the geometry sort of focused in on what you need is trigonometry, which is the measure of triangles. That's why it's got the tri in the front of it, right? So, yeah, yesterday she had faced up to the music, and so I was teaching her the algebra of lines, not strictly speaking linear algebra, but how to get points in the coordinate plane, and how 2 points can define a line, how to find the slope of the line, how to derive the formula for the slope, and then the point slope formula, and then the slope intercept formula. And man, this is so fundamental. It's in every aspect of math. It's just linear. The algebra of lines, straight lines in space, that's some very basic stuff. And, she was like, man, I don't remember any of this stuff. I'm like, you want to jump in to calculus 1 this morning, and you can't get a straight line. Because calculus, you're dealing with all kind of curved lines and stuff like that. Lines that you have. One of the main things that you're doing in calculus is taking functions it's all this gobbledygook stuff, and you don't know whether it's going up, going down, whether it's cut like this or humped over like this, or whether it's broken in 2, or whether it goes down to a sharp point or pops up into a cusp, something like that. You use calculus and analysis principles of it to discover these things about a graph, right? And that's if you're going to program a computer to graph something, it's going to have to use those same principles. to generate what it's doing. But anyway, our problem happened with we had done a little bit of math, and I saw a math basic shapes kit. It's like 14 items, like rectangular prism, a cube, a sphere, a hemisphere, triangular pyramid, quadrilateral pyramid, square pyramid, all those little shapes, cylinder, this, triangular prism, and I always, even from when my wife, when she was overseas and we were having the early days of our romance, I would talk about spheres, and I had a drug gang. It's an interesting story. I had 2 drug gangs, Asian boys, and a Bloods affiliate. Keon was the Bloods affiliate, and No was the Asian boys, which is like Crips, I guess, affiliate or whatever. And they was dealing in my math class and arguing with me about it's a good way to make a living, And I had worked in some pretty rough schools, but getting married and when my wife overseas and stuff like that, I was a little bit sketchy about, danger working in the ghetto. Because I am sort of obligated to say, no, it's not. The dealing drugs in a rough neighborhood, it's not worth it. You just think it's a lot of money because your mom is working in a hotel, doing housekeeping, and she's paying for all the rent and bills and stuff. And you got your little $15,000 you're making doing drugs. You think you're rich? No, man. And I had to bring in that book, the Freakonomics. In the book, the economists, they actually went into a ghetto and they actually studied. They asked permission, and they worked with the gangsters studying what their incomes were. And the big top dogs were making in the 50s, right? And an experienced public school teacher can make in the 50s, with an advanced degree, if you go into K-12, you make 90, you can get, good salary out there. Certainly more than dealing drugs. But anyway, I had my story of the sphere was, there was like you go in, you go, well, do you know the formula sphere? No, I don't know. Well, it's 4/3 power cubed. Right? Pi is 3.1, right? Well, 4/3, you got a pi in the numerator. It's 3, close to 3. And you got a 3 in the denominator. So really, when that problem says, what's the volume of this fuel tank with a 2 meter radius, 4 meter diameter, so 2 meter radius, it's 8 times 4, a little bit more than that, right? Because pi divided by 3 is, and it's like, I would tell the story because this guy's in the drug gang and he's trying to heckle me, right? And he's like, I'm doing it on the calculator right here, and it's some thousandths of something. I mean, think about that. If you got a 2 meter radius, how did you get up in the thousands, right? Think about it because say it was 900. That means it's a 30 meter diameter in that range, right? Or no, well, I need a cube, right? It's a huge size. You have to visualize of how big it was, and for it to be thousands, you know. And somehow the guy had, he could repeat it on the calculator. I was like, he's like, you need to be reported because you can't even teach. You don't even know how to do PEMDAS. Now, I just look and I see that 2 meter radius, and I'm thinking about 33, because it's just, it's 4 times 8, a little bit more than that, because the 3 divided by the 3. So that's an old story, and it's a story that excuse me. Kids have told me they love that story, because I go back, like when at the end of and I will tell any teacher, and I've been told, I was told while I had a real successful year in a very rough school teaching kids, this guy said the very fact that you wonder if you're a good teacher means you already are, right? But the reason I told that sphere story over and over again is at the end of one year, like at the end of the pandemic or whatever, I was talking to parents. Oh, he said you were the best teacher he ever had. I go, what? Why on earth? What? Could you ask him? I don't know if any of y'all teachers were. Ask the kid why he said I was a good teacher. And the answer kept coming back. He tells stories. Right? And so I studied what it is about stories that makes you a more effective teacher, because my numbers were coming back really good. My kids were doing better. I had top growth scores. It's like we had a school, we had 1,000 kids in there, 900 kids. And assistant principal is like, this is phenomenal. Never seen anything like it. But if he looked at me the way I teach or whatever, like that, he'd be, you're crazy, man. But it mystifies, like, I don't know how it works, but you just keep doing it, because you got bigger growth scores with your kids than anybody in the entire school. Top. Me? And I think a factor of it is like humility, right? Realizing, man, I do not know the best thing to do with a kid in the 5th grade that's got kindergarten. I don't level reading and math. I don't know what I need to find out what is the best thing I can do to help. And stories was a factor. So I got mad at my wife yesterday. And it was because we got this little kit at the store of the geometric shapes. And we're going to the checkout, and I'm like, let me start my little routine, about the sphere, because my daughter pulled out the sphere out of the box trying to look at it. And I said, do you know? You ask people, do you know? And everybody says no. Nobody knows the formula for a sphere. And whatever, my wife, she was tired. She was like, what you are doing, she was furious. She's like, you're trying to show the cashier that I don't know the volume of the sphere, to humiliate me and degradationalize me and denigrate me. And she started chewing into me, and she chewed me out through the whole parking lot. And I was like, I always tell that story, dear, the sphere. story. I've been telling it for 7 years. It's one of the ones. It's one of many stories that I tell because kids love it, because they're like, oh, you mean if the radius is 2, they're fascinated. They're like, oh, I thought, and I would tell the kids, look, man, I'm not a math genius. I'm not. I got my math degree in Georgia State University. They give me a degree, a Bachelor of Science. I did not take one partial differential equations class in my whole mathematical career. I never wrote a math paper, right? Georgia's right now number 30 in math and science. I'm not a dang math genius, and you don't need to be either, right? Just look how simple it is. And the kids will go, oh, 2 times 2 times 2 times 4. And I don't need to worry about the dang pi over 3 because it's, but before I start to do that calculation, I know it's about 32, 33. It's just a little bit more than 32, than 4 times 8, right? And then when my calculator comes back and says it's 1,000 and something, I know I have done something wrong, right? And kids, they're like, oh, wow, little things like that, and I have I'm not going to go on forever about it, but I have some little math tricks where you do something and people are like, wow, it's a human computer. That's not. It's true. It's just the fact that, and this is a problem, I think, in the whole United States of America, is people don't realize really that math is just like communicating, just a little bit more strict, like rigorous, like you really, really saying concrete something, not like your hair is like honey and your breath is like orange peels, No, mathematics is more like, 2 cups of flour, 1 egg, specific. And people are just like, what is this? Why are we doing all this numbers and stuff? Because they're not communicating with mathematics the way that they communicate verbally, right? And they don't realize that it is just an extension of English. It's English language arts at the next level up. I think it's very important. And I like to have a positive attitude around mathematics, and I certainly don't want to humiliate or embarrass anybody or anything like that. That's the worst thing to do. So I guess the first thing is like, okay, judge, jury, and executioner. My wife has said to me, I can see what you're doing. Explain the reason, you're trying to, say that I don't know the volume of a sphere. So on the one level, I've been mischaracterized as a big bad guy that tries to humiliate and degrade people. And I'm sorry that has happened to her. Happened to her in the Philippines. I wish it had not happened to her, but it did. And she's still showing a lot of pain from the past, a bad academic environment. But what hurt me is we get into the car, and we start driving, and I have to drive, and she's still chewing me out. And I know a number of fatalities of accidents where people are in car crashes and stuff. Close friends of mine, because they're arguing and stuff while they drive. And I tell her over and over again, don't do that. You're really getting me. And I saw it. So there's 2 factors. First of all, just the bare fact that I'm driving. Hey, sweetie. And then
I want you to watch funny.
Man, I need to play my game a little bit, dear. Do you have to watch it right now? Now this is what's so I have to get off. Oh well. I'm sorry. She getting in her seat. She's got this new seat up behind. Wait for a minute there. But the second thing is that bothers me is the characterization that I'm deliberately doing something to hurt somebody. I'm not. Right. I'm getting ready to get off, dude.
Watch funny.
Right. See what gotta watch. It's funny. Right. Okay. So we're gonna have to get off. This is a fail today. Whatever. But we had a big brouhaha yesterday. But the thing that really hurt is hurt my feelings. It's like, here we've been married for all these years, and I tell that story over and over again, and you make me feel like you've never been listening to me or never ever heard it, right? And it just really hurt, and I hollered at her. I was like, because I'm a mathematician, I'm talking about a sphere. It's not about you, right? I'm talking about a sphere because I'm a math person, and I'm interested in spheres, and I shouted that very loudly. So she was really angry at me, furious all yesterday. But it's, there's other factors involved. But yeah, be nice to people, man, and don't goof around in a vehicle when people are driving. People ask you as nice as they can be, Don't deliberately aggravate people when they're driving.
Please.
Okay. All right, so I gotta go. We're gonna go watch It's Funny, and I'm gonna try to get back on a little bit later. Sorry, I did not get going before my daughter got up. But we had a rough day yesterday. So you say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. They can't see you. You're hiding back there. You're the superstar. You gotta hi. Goodbye. Goodbye. We gotta watch our It's Funny together. And it's pretty good. This is some of the most popular videos, most watched videos on YouTube. So shout out to It's Funny. And I'm going to get back on Macarena later. Thanks.